Good morning, everybody. On this Wednesday morning, we do happen to have one severe thunderstorm warning in the state here this morning, and this is for northern Huntington County, southeast Whitley County, northwest Wells County, and southern Allen County in northeast Indiana here this morning. Although widespread severe weather was not expected this morning, we couldn't rule out a stray severe thunderstorm, mainly for hail, and that is what this one is warned for, quarter-size hail with a 50-mile-per-hour wind tag on it. So again, not a significant thunderstorm in terms of wind, but it does have that hail risk associated with it. And that's really what we've seen here throughout the morning here. Some sporadic hail cores that have kind of semi-organized before quickly weakening as well. So that's kind of what we expect here. We don't expect this to be super long-lived, but nonetheless, we do have a storm capable of quarter-size hail. It has reached that criteria according to the National Weather Service, so they went ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, this is for northeast Huntington County, far northwestern Wells County. However, the strongest hail core, I believe, is going to miss northwestern Wells. It's going to go in the northeast Huntington County, right along the US 24 corridor here. It's going to run right along that corridor, US 24, towards Roanoke, Aboit, and then into southeast lower Fort Wayne. So Fort Wayne International Airport, you guys are on guard for quarter-size hail as well, situating right on the edge of the warning box here. Be on alert for quarters. In fact, let's go ahead. Here's our hail tracker here. You can see that hail core here just outside of Huntington. However, this is a little bit behind here. Probably be sitting right on the US 24 corridor by this point in time for quarter-size hail, which is 1 inch diameter. Again, a lot of reports of hail throughout the entire state or proximity of northern Indiana here this morning, with most of it being peas to dimes and perhaps some half-inch hail. But again, for it to be a severe thunderstorm, we need that criteria to be 1 inch diameter or greater. And that is what we have here in northern Huntington County. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for another 12 minutes here. Again, not a super long warning here, as a lot of these hail cores have been kind of sporadic in nature. Think of it like popcorn, where they quickly get organized and then they die out rather quickly. So hopefully that is the case here before this reaches Fort Wayne Metro here. But nonetheless, severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Southwest Allen County, southeast Whitley County, northeast Huntington, and northwestern Wells County. With
Caleb,
Ryan.
we have a report on one of our affiliate pages of large hail west side of Fort Wayne. Looking and eyeballing it, looks to be just above quarter size in diameter, just west of Fort Wayne. A few minutes.
So maybe inch and a quarter, perhaps.
Yeah, about maybe a ping pong ball, maybe. Or
okay.
Maybe a $50.
In fact, let's go ahead and turn on our correlation coefficient. And just like looking for debris and tornadoes, this also is a very nice tool to look for hail cores. Again, it looks for abnormalities. Oh, yeah, there's your hail core right in here. Just to the south of outside of Roanoke, between Roanoke and Aboit. So this is probably where our hail report is coming in. This is going to be near the GM, General Motors plant, right along the 469 I-69 corridor where the GM plant is. Again, a lot of morning commuters on the highway right now. So again, potentially up to ping pong ball size hail, maybe just over an inch, according to the report that Ryan just talked about, associated with this storm. So a very strong thunderstorm moving in the southwest lower. It's just going to go just to the west of the airport here. Again, the airport sitting right in here, just south of Waynedale, just outside of Yoder. But this is going to go right along, just north of the, actually near Lutheran, where Lutheran Hospital is. That is where this hail core is right now, right along the US 24 corridor. Again, you got Lutheran here. This is Jefferson Boulevard. Right here is where this hail core is going to be. We'll zoom in here. We got Liberty Hills, Ellison here, West Jefferson Boulevard, Aboit Center Road right in here. So again, a very populated area, a lot of people in this area, a lot of commuters in this area as well, and some fairly large hailstones here. Again, over here you got a couple hotels. You got the Richards here, Rural King right here on the south side of the road. That's kind of where we're talking about where our largest hailstones are. And this is going to go right up West Jefferson Boulevard, probably towards Jefferson Point as well. I know we have a lot of shoppers, a lot of people going to work there in that duplex there. We get the Walmart there, movie theater. We got a lot of things going on right there. Again, this is going to go towards Ansley Acres, Indian Village, and then ultimately downtown Fort Wayne. A very large hail core here, going to go right up the US 24 corridor and West Jefferson Boulevard here in Fort Wayne in southwest Allen County. So the worst of the hail is not in Wells County or Whitley County. It is now in southwest Allen County, according to the radar here. A very potent hail core. Nonetheless here, when you have deep concentrations of blues and yellows here in what's called correlation coefficiency, correlation coefficiency in a nutshell picks up anomalies or abnormalities in the atmosphere here. Just like debris, raindrops show up purple or red here, but anything that has a different size or is bouncing around in greater in size or density will show up as blue, red, sometimes green or black on the correlation coefficiency. And this is your hail core here. So these are hailstones getting bounced around in the atmosphere that is being picked up by radar here. So a couple tools that we have here on radar to be able to see different things or anomalies going on. So this is moving northeast fairly quickly too. In fact, it's already outrunning our warning box here. And it was just issued a few minutes ago. They have it moving northeast at 90 miles an hour. Yes, 90 is how fast this thing is moving. Again, extremely strong winds aloft here this morning, associated with our warm air advection ahead of our warm front that'll be warming us up rather quickly this morning. A lot of us will go in the 70s here by late afternoon. But again, for right now, this storm is moving northeast at 90 miles an hour. In fact, this hail core here, still moving along West Jefferson Boulevard here, coming up to Times Corner as well. It's pretty large hail here coming into the Fort Wayne Metro here. Going to go northwest of downtown. Looks like it could just miss downtown just by a few blocks going northwest. So again, you got the zoo on this side of town. You have a lot of other things as well coming up to Lima Road here in the next few minutes here. Probably Coliseum Boulevard as well. Lima Road there, that proximity. So again, all the car dealerships there on the north side of town. You got the Auto Mall up there. Heads up, could have some large hailstones heading your way. But again, this is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana. We do have some special weather statements here in blue. These are for storms that are not severe. Again, we didn't really expect widespread severe weather this morning, but isolated sporadic hail reports were not out of the question at all. Had a lot of cold air aloft with that elevated instability that we have here. So some juice that's higher up in the atmosphere that these storms are feeding on this morning. The main show will come later tonight, and all severe hazards are possible with that. We'll talk about that later this morning. So again, Pinedo, Bluffton, Liberty Center could have some smaller hail, nickel-size hail. So again, that's 0.88. So again, that's just under severe criteria of 1-inch diameter. So again, a strong cell nonetheless. Northeastern Grant County, Northwest Blackford, and the boot of Wells County here. Not really seeing our CC like we are in Allen County here. You can really see the difference here between what subsevere looks like and severe looks like on correlation coefficiency here. Again, these storms are hauling. They are moving northeast at 90 miles an hour. So again, this storm here is probably already, next scan, we'll see it probably close to Lima Road here near the Fort Wayne Auto Mall here on Coliseum Boulevard is where this is heading. So again, anybody on the northwest side of Fort Wayne, downtown and areas northwest, heads up, quarter-size hail or perhaps a few larger stones, according with the reports that we have gotten here this morning. Is this rain going to help us later today? Honestly, I don't think it's going to do very much. Greatest uncertainty in northern Indiana, but with the wind parameters that we have here today, it's going to really allow the atmosphere to really destabilize with greatest confidence south of the US 24 corridor here later today. But again, all hazards possible tonight, anywhere between probably 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 3 a.m. Thursday morning is really the time period that we have here today. Could have some pop-up storms this afternoon, followed by a line that comes through to end the event later today. New warning just got issued here. Still keeping it at quarter-size hail with winds at 50 miles an hour. Again, straight-line winds, not really the biggest risk here. Again, these storms kind of have high basis to them. We're not really bringing those strong winds down to the ground. But nonetheless, a lot of cold air to work with. So again, our hail is our greatest risk here. And sure enough, here's our very potent hail core here. Pull out some intersections here. This is the Bass Road area. Again, a lot of morning commuters here on that road. Coming up the Hillegas Road, State Boulevard as well. This is West State Boulevard, west of Lafayette and Clinton. However, it's probably going to go just north of State coming up to the Lima Road area, Northwest. Lima Road, you're probably in it right now. Again, this is a little bit behind here. It's going to take time for radar to catch up. This is moving northeast. It's 90 miles an hour. Yeah, that's faster than what you travel on 69 or should travel on 69 for most of us. Again, here's Coliseum Boulevard here, State Road 930 here. This is US 30, Coliseum Boulevard, Lima Road here. This is where a hail core is. So going right over the Auto Mall here, Jefferson Point, just north of there. You got the Glenbrook American flag in this area here too. So again, that's kind of a reference point for those of you watching for Fort Wayne. That is where this hail core is traveling here, going towards the Crestwood, Northwest area. Again, also 469, I-69 interchange here. You got Parkview, DuPont Road, Leo, Cedarville. You guys up in here, got a lot of travelers up here on State Road 1 and also DuPont Road up in here as well. So again, a lot of commuters here ahead of this hail core here on the northwest side of Fort Wayne. Rapidly moving towards the 469 I-69 interchange. I wouldn't be surprised to get some smaller hailstones further out from the hail core along the I-69 here. Perhaps maybe a little bit smaller, being on the outside of the core, with their larger stones centered in where you see these darker blues here on the northwest side of Fort Wayne.
We do have another report of quarter-size hail out of Huntington. That's a viewer report on one of our affiliate pages.
Okay, so again, quarters have been confirmed here, at least with this storm. Perhaps mixing in a few larger stones at times here with this cell. Further south you go, sub-severe here, Winchester, Muncie. So again, Randolph County, you got Grant County up here, Muncie area. Again, this one expires here in 3 minutes. We'll see what they do here. But these are sub-severe storms, nickels and dimes associated with these here with our severe warning up here for northeast Indiana. Kind of give you a zoomed out view here. These showers will work their way out this morning, probably around the 9 or 10, 11 o'clock this morning. Most of the rain and thunderstorms will be out of Indiana into Michigan and Northwest Ohio. So we will dry out here by mid-morning, and that is when we'll see our temperatures really warm up as well. So again, zooming back in here, this storm is moving northeast at 90 miles an hour. So keep that in mind. It is moving very, very quickly. We have very strong winds aloft that are keeping these storms hauling northeast as well. So that's going to help clear out these storms as well. A little bit more of a broader CC scan here. So hopefully we're seeing that updraft weaken just a little bit. But nonetheless, still getting some returns on here to suggest quarter-size hail is still falling here. And it has shifted a little bit to the north here as well. You can notice these pinks here now right on Lima Road, US 33 here and 69 here. So this is the Coliseum exit here on I-69. So you have your Goshen exit here, as a lot of times it's referred, US 30, 33 interchange here. The Goshen exit getting some quarter-size hail right on the highway here. Heading towards Northwest, Crestwood, as well as the DuPont area as well. You got Parkview up here. You got a lot of things going on here on DuPont Road. Going to go just to the south of Huntertown, heading towards Leo, Cedarville, and may split those two locations too. We'll see how this trends here. But again, moving northeast at 90 miles an hour. So a very fast-moving thunderstorm here. A little bit further south, our next strongest storm here. Maybe a little bit of a hail core showing up here now in the boot of Wells County. Again, we have nickel-size hail associated with that. Go ahead and turn on our hail tracker here. Yeah, you can really see your hail core associated with that one as well. Hey, Ryan, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you take over real quick? I'm actually, so this is heading to my house. I'm going to put the car in the garage here real quick.
Go for it. I got you.
Thanks.
Go ahead and pop my screen on here for you. There we go. So we have a warning here still in effect for the Fort Wayne area. This is going to miss downtown, although downtown probably getting some heavy rain, some heavy lightning as well. But the hail core, as of right now, is heading up toward the I-69, Huntertown, and Leo Cedarville areas. This is moving very quickly. It's also going to be on top of you guys very quickly as well. So outside of this warning, the hail core is heading toward places like Auburn, Moore, Butler, and St. Joe. Any place in between those areas will be coming on you very, very, very fast here. Zooming out, though, we have numerous thunderstorms moving through the state here. Already had a warning before this one. We had a warning over here in the Defiance and Paulding counties area. But right now, we do have multiple blue boxes, which indicate special weather statements. And those are basically just saying, hey, we have a strong storm, but it's not quite severe yet. So all these storms you see on your screen may contain small to medium-sized hail, but very isolated instances of large hail could be a possibility. Going down here, check out this storm, for example. This is a statement for nickel size hail, which is just under a quarter size. Check out our hail tracker on all these storms here. This is our vertically integrated liquid. I would not be shocked to see a warning issued for this Bluffton cell here momentarily as well. That is a very strong VIL signature for hail, and that's heading right for the Ossian and Bluffton areas. So if you guys happen to live there, like kind of compare these two, you have the same kind of signature up here with this warning in Fort Wayne as we do down here heading into Wells County as we speak. So we definitely will likely get a either, I would expect there to be a warning issued for that cell if that continues. So we may have two warnings here in effect very momentarily. But as we speak, zooming out for other storms, we do have a couple smaller hail cores down here by Winchester and Eaton areas, but still not as potent as what we're seeing up here in Wells County, as well as the Fort Wayne area. So let's go ahead and keep it on. Let's do a split screen here of our radar, and I want to split that with our hail tracker here. There we go. So radar on your left, hail tracker on your right. Let's go ahead and zoom in here to these two storms. I want to keep these on your screen as long as possible. New scan coming in here for the radar. We'll see how close that is to Bluffton. These storms are flying to the northeast between 70 and 80 miles per hour, maybe faster than that, honestly. So take these seriously. It is a hail threat. It's not going to be a huge wind or a tornadic threat with these storms. That comes later today. These are just going to be again, a hail threat here as these storms work their way through the state to the northeast. And these were expected as well. These weren't a surprise at all. We do see these morning rounds of showers, very, very common with warm front setups. We don't have any surface fuel for these storms, so to speak, which is why we're not concerned for winds or tornadoes. But there's a lot of instability up there in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which basically is supporting some large hail and also all this lightning you see on your left side or the right side of your screen here, all those little white lightning strikes. So as these move to the northeast, we have Auburn, we have Northwest Ohio to get through, but kind of taking a look back here to the south and over west, it kind of clears out. There's really nothing back down here toward Indianapolis at all. So once we get rid of these storms, we should be okay for the rest of the morning into the afternoon hours. And then our real severe threat that we have all hazards possible, wind, hail, tornadoes, becomes a big concern later on this afternoon, evening. I'm not going to say a time frame just yet. They'll probably likely be after the 3 p.m. time frame. These are all pretty much noisy storms. There's a lot of lightning with these. If you look on the right side of your screen here, you can see all the white dots. But there are lightning strikes from Northwest Ohio, Northeast Indiana, back through north or Southwest Michigan. I just woke up, so I'm slurring my words here pretty bad. But pretty much all across northern Ohio, northern Indiana, and southern Michigan, these are going to be really loud thunderstorms. But we had that one severe warning here in effect. Potentially another one being issued momentarily for Wells. We'll see what they do with this storm down here. I'd be a little bit more surprised if they don't, if this hail signature over here on the right side of your screen continues. Looks like Caleb is back. You are muted, just FYI. But overall, yeah, the Fort Wayne area, we do have some hail indications that hail is moving through the downtown area for that.
Yep, sorry about that. Some of these hail cores, or the one in Wells County, was coming towards my house, so wanted to put the vehicles inside just in case. And I will say, the rain is cold. It is a cold rain this morning. But again, up here on our severe thunderstorm warning here, again, the hurricane going right down I-69, and now it's coming up to the Leo Cedarville area here. So put out some road names here for you. This one here looks like we got German Road here, just to the east of I-69 here. Again, as the thunderstorm approaches me, I may lose signal here temporarily, Ryan, as they have some higher tops coming over. So just an FYI there. Again, pretty decent. I'm actually going to turn on CC on the one heading towards Bluffton, because that one looks pretty juicy at the moment here. We got our hail tracker on. Let's go ahead and confirm it here with that. a little bit of a hail core here, just northwest of Pinedo, coming up to 124, heading towards downtown Bluffton, just on the west side. But again, not quite as potent as what we have up here. Even this hail core here is kind of broadened out a little bit, Ryan, in the recent scans here on CC. Not quite as potent of a hail core as what we were talking about northwest and southwest Allen County, as well as northeast Huntington County a few minutes ago. So that's some good news here.
I will say that we do have another report, a train spotter reporting hail of quarter size as of 2 minutes ago, 4 miles southeast of Huntertown, which is basically within that Fort Wayne cell, just minutes ago with it. So it's still producing quarters.
Right up in here.
Yep, that is still producing quarters. That is via an LSR from IWX.
Yep, not surprising to see that here. You can see our tracker here. Maybe weakened a little bit here in the latest scan. We'll see how that continues here and see what the National Weather Service wants to do. Given the reports, I wouldn't be surprised if they issue another warning on it, just as a precaution. With our next strongest cell in Wells County, any Bluffton friends down there, Austin and Decatur, wouldn't be surprised to see a few quarters mixing into this cell down here as well. You can kind of see that on correlation coefficient here. Again, our hail tracker tool that we use. A little bit of a hail core here. And then this is probably behind here too. So I wouldn't be surprised if the hail is actually in Bluffton at this point in time, around the State Road 1 area, just south of US 224. So wouldn't be surprised that in Wells County. A little bit further south here. Let me switch radars here. Look at this cell. Not really seeing too much down there.
Check out your VIL on the Wells County cell.
Go back to our updraft tool here. Waiting on the latest update here on the VIL. But again, seeing these darker purples here, blacks, just on the west side of town here. State Road 124 coming near North Oaks. Wouldn't be surprised to see some quarters in there. In fact, let's go ahead and turn on CC and see if that's updated yet. I don't have the updated VIL, which is our updraft tracker. Yeah, pretty potent hail core here. Not very wide, only a couple miles wide here. But again, probably some quarters right in there.
It just went warned.
There we go. Severe thunderstorm warning now for Adams and Wells County here. I don't have it up on my screen yet, but I assume quarter size hail, and I don't know what they're doing with the winds. Again, not a big wind maker here, mainly a hail threat here. 50 and quarter. Again, this will include Bluffton here. Again, here's our hail core right here. North of 124, east of Rockford here, coming in the North Oaks, Tollgate Heights here. Again, for reference, Stone Quarry's right here. Hail core just off to the west, moving north and east, probably about the same speed, I guess, probably between 70 and 90, moving northeast at 75 miles an hour. So again, moving pretty fast here. Hail core up here on our Fort Wayne cell here. They have not reissued a warning yet. You can see a little bit of a hail core still just to the southwest of St. Joe, south of Auburn here. This is moving into DeKalb County now towards the Butler area. We'll have to see what they do here, if they put a special weather statement on it or reissue a warning. We'll just have to see what they do there. But the hail core, at least on radar, looks to be weakening a little bit. We can double check that with our updraft. Still a little bit behind. As you can see, this would be now in DeKalb County. But overall, kind of a weakening trend there. Still waiting on my updated VIL. I don't have that yet.
I will also say, Caleb,
I just got it.
Another viewer report from Southwest Allen County of what appears to be $half size, if not ping pong ball size hail.
Okay, yeah, that was back when it was at its strongest point as it entered near the US 24. That'd be the Jefferson Boulevard area in Southwest Allen. Looked to have some pretty good sized hail in it there. Go ahead and turn back our correlation coefficient here, our hail tracker. Pretty decent hail core here. This is clutter down here, but right in here is where your hail core is, just to the south of that lightning bolt there. Where you see these darker colors here. Again, moving northeast at 75 miles an hour. This is probably on the north side of Bluffton, so think Taco Bell North, River North. That is where we're talking about this hail core here. Moving towards the Decatur area, just south of Ossian. So as well, we got Preble in here, Toxins in here as well. Just to the east of Uniondale is where this hail core is going to track, right in here. So think US 24, State Road 1 corridor, right in that vicinity there. As it moves northeast at 75 miles an hour. Again, this storm here is staying subsevere. Wilmington went ahead and issued a special weather statement for Ohio. We got Mercer and Darke counties over there. Our storm up here, our severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire, and it looks like they are not going to reissue it. And I don't really see too much anymore in the way on CC there. So that's good news there for that cell, as it was quite potent and rather long-lived compared to what we have been seeing this morning. That was one of the more longer-lived storms of the morning. So impressive nonetheless. Right now we'll focus on our Wells County storm here. This is where our severe thunderstorm warning is currently here for northeast Indiana. Again, if you're south of Indianapolis, southern Indiana, northwest Indiana, you guys are in the clear till later tonight. Probably after 4 p.m. is when we're going to have to start talking about severe weather. But again, everywhere in southern Indiana, you guys are all clear for the majority of the day, with the exception for later this afternoon. I think after 4 p.m. is where the greatest risk comes in. Could be a little bit earlier than that. We'll have to see how the atmosphere evolves later today. But again, here's our hail core here. Again, just on the north side of Bluffton here, State Road 1, US 24, or 224 rather, just south of the town of Ossian, east of Uniondale, is where these quarters and where this hail core is tracking. Going to get pretty close to the Preble area in northern Adams County. You got Toxin in here too, just south of Kingsland, heading towards the Decatur area at 75 miles per hour. We'll have to see. This will get pretty close to Decatur here. Could go just to the west of it towards Preble here over the next few minutes here. But again, quarter-size hail, 50-mile-per-hour winds is the going hazard here. Again, with the hail threat being the reason that this warning was issued. For a severe thunderstorm to be considered a severe thunderstorm, we need quarter-size hail, 1-inch diameter or greater, with winds 58 or greater. A lot of times you'll see 60-mile-per-hour tags on the warnings when it goes severe for the baseline, or a tornado. All of those things make a storm severe, but we're not worried about damaging winds or tornadoes this morning. Those risks get reintroduced later today if everything aligns correctly. But for now, a hail risk is dominant here this morning across northern Indiana.
I want to just say a little bit of a surprise, not really a surprise, but the current temperature across the area is in the upper 30s and low 40s out there.
Yeah.
We are getting severe thunderstorms in very cold temperatures, and that is, again, thanks to some elevated instability aloft.
Yep.
It's not on the surface, it's up above our heads. And when you have the instability above your heads, it's very, very easily we can get these larger hailstones on days like today with a warm front kind of left and north. And it's just like the right type of environment for large hail with these elevated thunderstorms. So they're loud, they're noisy, and they could make a dent in your car. And that's about it. There's no wind. There's no tornado threat with these storms. That concern will come later this evening as we do build that surface instability throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah, but your greatest hail core here, this is a little bit of clutter here, distortion here associated with that dry air mixing in. We're right here around North Oaks. This is your hail core right here. This is just clutter. You can ignore that. But right here, where my mouse is circling here, that is your hail core right here. So approaching State Road 1 here, right over State Road 1 on the north side of town here. So again, 350 north here and 300 here. You got Lancaster Elementary School right here. So parents dropping their kiddos off at school or still in the parking lot could get some hail dents on your cars. Again, quarter-size hail approaching Lancaster Elementary School. And then you got Norwell right over here on the outside of this hail core. So they may have gotten spared or just nicked by quarter-size hail. But again, Lancaster Elementary getting some quarter-size hail right now as this moves off to the north and east at 75 miles an hour. So the good news is it's not going to hail very long at any particular location. These storms are hauling. But again, a few larger stones doesn't take very many to cause some dents in your vehicles. So, and quarter-size hail, once you get quarters or greater, that's why they issue a severe thunderstorm warning. Really, once you get quarter-size, that's large enough to cause some minor dents. So that's where we reach severe criteria. But again, this is our only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Indiana this morning, and we weren't really expecting widespread severe this morning. We put out an outlook for isolated hailstones, and again, we did have that marginal risk for northwest Indiana issued yesterday by the Storm Prediction Center for an isolated hail event. But the biggest question was that instability factor. How much elevated instability were we going to have to support thunderstorms and sporadic hail? And this morning, we're realizing there was just enough to marginally support some severe thunderstorms, and we've had 2 of them so far this morning in northeast Indiana. Here's our hail core here, just to the east of State Road 1, approaching US 224, heading really close to the Toxin area. Toxin, you guys are probably getting some quarter-size hail right now. Again, our correlation coefficient is just a little bit behind our reflectivity here. So this blue here, think of it being right there, closer to that lightning bolt here, between Preble and Kingsland here. So just to the east of State Road 1, right along the US 224 corridor here in Wells County, getting ready to cross over into northwest Adams County as well. I wouldn't be surprised Monroeville, southeast lower Allen County here could get in on some hail here over the next few minutes if the storm is able to maintain its core as it heads that way. We like to think of these kind of setups as popcorn setups, where we have isolated instances where thunderstorms quickly intensify before they quickly weaken as well, like popcorn. They pop up, they dissipate. That's kind of how our updrafts are handling the environment today. But nonetheless, when they do pop up, they do pose that risk for hail. And we've seen reports from hail all the way from western Indiana earlier this morning, all the way to eastern Indiana now, where we've had a couple severe thunderstorm warnings, where those popcorn updrafts were able to reach severe criteria this morning. So again, nothing in southern Indiana. This is only northern Indiana this morning. In fact, I don't even think there's any rain across southern Indiana here this morning. Yeah, not at all. Your threat comes later today, this afternoon, and into overnight tonight. Again, here's our hail core right here. Again, still lagging behind a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to the Preble area, Toxin area, or just on the north side of 224 right now. Again, these storms are moving at 75 to 80 miles an hour. The Fort Wayne cell was moving at 90 miles an hour, 90. So again, sometimes these storms are outrunning the radar a little bit. So we have to wait on the radar to catch up with the storm, so to speak. So again, quarter-size hail. Going to go just to the west of Decatur here, maybe closer to the 9 Mile area. We got Hoagland up here. We got Preble, Ossian. It's going to go just to the east of you in northern Adams County here, and potentially southeast Allen County. But again, no warning for southeast Allen yet. It really just depends on how this updraft is able to maintain itself as it moves in the northwest Adams County here over the next few minutes. And there is a lot of lightning with these storms too, Ryan. Despite being elevated, there's enough instability to support a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning associated with these storms as well. They're very noisy, as he said earlier. A lot of times when you get these elevated setups, an elevated meaning there's an inversion. There's a temperature inversion. We have cold air at the ground, and you go up a couple thousand feet, and it's warm. It's actually pretty mild up there. And with that mild air, you have that instability. That's what these thunderstorms are feeding on. But when you have that temperature difference at the surface, sometimes that can amplify sound waves. Think of it like you're in a big gym with nothing else in it, and it echoes really bad. That's what those temperatures do when you have an inversion underneath the thunderstorm. It's really noisy, so the sound waves bounce around and they can't escape. So some of these have been window rattlers this morning, as I like to call them. But again, here's your hail core here. Still a very pronounced hail core here, just north of Toxin. Toxin probably got quarter-size hail. Getting very close to Preble here, coming up to US 27 here and northern Adams County here. We'll have to see if they extend the warning here. It is maintaining itself in northwest Adams County. Going to go pretty close to Decatur here, north side of Decatur. Think like Bungie and north, the soybean processing facility on the north side of Decatur. Think that area and north, potential for some hail there if you're traveling on US 27 towards Fort Wayne. Is where this hail core is going currently.
Aaron in chat here says Burn is getting hail currently.
Yeah, not surprised. A little bit of a hail core there. In fact, let's go ahead and turn on our updraft tracker. Wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some P's, maybe some dimes in there. I don't see much on CC, so it's probably not super large. But let's look here. Yeah, there's your little hail core here. Again, it's a little bit behind here, but it's probably sitting right in here. So if it's the same magnitude here over Burn, wouldn't be surprised to see some pea-size hail, maybe a couple dimes mixed in there as well. But sub-severe hail, at least according to the radar. Let us know what size you have there in Burn, Aaron. That'd be great. But on radar, it does look like it is sub-severe, which is good, with our strongest hail core to the north of US 224.
Yeah, I want to say I think they're going to extend that warning up into
I do too.
Allen and probably into Paulding County and Van Wert County, Ohio, as that storm continues to produce a big signature there for large hail directly over the Toxin area, moving to the Monroeville and Hoagland areas momentarily.
Yeah, this area here, the area that you see, this line here, this is just clutter, it's distortion from the radar. So again, largest hail core is this right here, just to the north of Preble here, where you see these purples and even blacks. Your blacks is your most potent part of the hail core, where your heaviest precipitation is, whether it's hail, heavy rain, etc., being right in there, where you have those deep purples and even blacks. That's your reflectivity bottoming out, a really good indication that you have some hail in there associated with that. We do see that on CC. Again, correlation coefficient is a tool that we use to see objects of different size and shape in the atmosphere. Raindrops are all uniform in size. They're like pancakes as they fall through the atmosphere, and those pancakes show up as red or pink on correlation coefficient. But when you have objects of larger size and varying size, and they also bounce around a little bit too in the updraft, that's where you get these different colors here. Just as you see debris being lofted in a tornado, it picks up hail as well. And that's what we're using this tool for this morning, is tracking hail. Aaron says pea-size hail in burn. Yeah, that matches up pretty well with what we see on radar here. Again, if we were to see some larger hailstones in here, we would likely see a CC signature over southern Adams County, but we don't see that yet. Not that we couldn't. This updraft could intensify down here, but again, our strongest storm is across northern Adams County right now. It has moved out of Wells County, but getting ready to cross into southeast Allen County here. We'll have to see what the National Weather Service does here over the next few minutes here. Again, this storm is moving northeast at 75 miles an hour. Very, very fast. That's how you fast. Most people drive on the freeway, or at least you should drive on the freeway, right? So this is going to head towards the Hoagland area, Monroeville, Dixon there on state line before it heads into probably northwest Van Wert County, perhaps maybe southern Paulding County. We'll have to see if it holds on before it reaches there. I have a little ways to go yet before it reaches Ohio. But again, Monroeville, Hoagland, you guys are on deck for perhaps some quarter-size hail over the next few minutes here.
The latest SPC update has just dropped. Very little change. The moderate risk stays in Indiana. The enhanced risk stays as well. But they did extend the 10% hatch tornado probabilities further north and further west. So it encompasses almost the entire state, minus like the 2-3 top tier counties in Indiana. Otherwise, it's going to be a hatched risk.
Yeah. Good news is on the latest CC, Ryan, we have broadened out a little bit, but we're still showing decent reflectivity there. Just to the south of Williams, Monmouth here on US 27 here in northern Adams County, approaching East Liberty and Hoagland and southeast Allen County. But hopefully that is a sign that our updraft is weakening here. Again, I like to think of these as popcorn updrafts. They pop up in intensity before weakening rather quickly. Still showing a decent updraft here, but again, this is behind. This would actually be sitting right here. And there's our newest warning. They did go ahead and reissue it. Not entirely surprised. Quarter size hail and 50 miles per hour there. This is for northern Adams, southeast Allen County, Monroeville, southern Paulding County, as well as northwest Van Wert County and northwest Ohio here as the storm exits Indiana and into northwest Ohio here. Another pretty potent hail core here, moving along the US 24 area in Paulding County, heading towards the Defiance County area in northwest Ohio. But again, we primarily cover Indiana, so we will focus on that for now. Still showing a pretty decent core here on this storm, right along the Allen-Adams County border here, moving northeast. Let's see if they kept the speed at 75 or if it's increased. Actually decreased a little bit. 60 miles an hour is the going speed with this storm here. So again, slowed down just a little bit, but nonetheless, still moving very, very quickly. Again, quarter-size hail, 50 mile per hour winds is the going hazards here with this severe thunderstorm warning. It does include northern Adams County, southeast Adams County, northwest Van Wert County, and far southwest Paulding County. It does get pretty close to the Payne area as well. So again, on deck for quarter-size hail, 50 mile per hour winds associated with that. Zoom out here. Here's your updated hail core in southern Adams County. Got some P's reported out of that earlier. That has since weakened, but we have another hail core coming into the Geneva area. Probably some renewed P's coming into southern Adams County. Wouldn't be surprised. And going back a little bit to the west here, we got Wabash County here, and then go a little bit further towards Peru, actually now in Wabash County. This is lagging behind a little bit, coming into Huntington. A few more isolated updrafts where you could have some P's in there. I think US 24 corridor there. A couple cells with some pea-sized hail in them. There's our latest scan there. You can see the hail core is now moving into Adams County. You have to watch this guy right here. Yeah, there's our latest scan. Probably getting maybe some dimes, maybe a few nickels now on that burn cell. Right along just north of State Road 218, south of Wilshire, just outside of Salem. I know some people in that area who may be watching could get some hail there. So. Yeah, still showing some decent signatures on the VIL, Ryan, for hail as it moves into Monroe. Kind of an elongated hail core now kind of showing up.
Yeah, it seems like we have a little bit of a strengthening of these cells right now, which isn't surprising, like we said, with the upper level instability. No. So we could still have some instances ongoing throughout the morning of some larger hailstones and some isolated warnings popping up here. And again, it's going to be only for hail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no damaging wind risk this morning. Again, all of these have been sub-severe, and I doubt some of the winds have actually been reaching 50 miles an hour. Perhaps in the stronger cores where you have that hail and downdraft bringing down some stronger winds. But again, due to the elevated nature of these storms, damaging winds is not really a primary focus at this point in time. But the good news is, Ryan, we're not really seeing that defined core on correlation anymore, signaling a really dense hail core that we once had. But nonetheless, few quarters possible in there, especially with the way our updraft is looking, or at least on the latest scan here. Again, this is a little bit behind here, probably just south of the Monroeville area. You got State Road 101 here approaching that corridor, and southeast Allen County approaching southwest Paulding County as well. But again, it does seem to be on a weakening trend, at least for that storm. However, our southern Adams County storm strengthened a little bit there, had some pea-sized hail, now perhaps showing some nickel-sized hail, up the nickel-sized hail with that possible.
They just trimmed the warning back. They updated it. They kept it as a quarter-size hail, but they trimmed Wells and Adams County out of it. It's now just for Allen County.
Again, that does include the Monroeville area, Hoagland, Maple, zero on the edge, but the hail core is likely going to go just off to your east. It's going to skim right next to you, approaching the US 30 corridor here. This will stay east of I-469 here as it moves into northwest Ohio.
Hey, check your private chat for me. As of right now, the most concerning hail core is going to be the one that's warned. Looking at the VIL, the hail tracker, there's a couple instances across. I'll go ahead and pop my screen back up there just for a second here. Just the brighter colors here are your larger hailstones, and we only really see it right now in Adams County near Decatur or near Bern, Geneva. Again, up here, we're going to be entering the Monroeville area quite soon. But taking a zoomed out look, after those two cores are out of the state, it's more so just going to be a lightning concern. I don't see anything large hail wise outside the one that's warned, and maybe the one to the south of that. So once one of these storms back here decides to strengthen, this looks to be the last of the immediate threat for large hail.
Yeah, and as Ryan said, again, they did turn the warning back to southeast Allen County only. Monroeville on deck for quarters.
Oh, that's my alarm going off. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but that was my 9 a.m. Scared me.
I'd say you beat your alarm this morning.
Oh, yeah. I'm up here on the state line of Michigan, and I got awoken by a loud clap of thunder, which is probably what a lot of people are waking up to this morning. A lot of lightning out there, and these types of storms, it's not just the distant rumble; it's the window shaking type of thunder that is with these storms.
Back here, I'm gonna pull something up on my screen. If you want to take your radar back, Ryan, I'm gonna pull something up here for kicks and giggles here.
Go ahead. I'm live. Go ahead.
Okay.
We'll be tracking this for a few more minutes at very least. Probably going to be on here for probably another half hour, so I have to say, as we kind of watch these storms. Don't want to hop off and hop back on if anything does go severe in the future. But as of right now, the main concern with anything severe is going to be over here in Allen County near Monroeville. And this storm does appear to be weakening as well, which is great news. I'm looking at the hail tracker. The hail tracker does not update very well. I'll pop open my other radar here, which does update a little bit better. The radar signature for hail is actually weakened. There's not really much of a marker on it anymore, which is great news. So again, Monroeville, do expect there to be at very least pea-sized hail, if not close to dime or perhaps nickel. But the signature that I'm seeing here on radar indicates that we're no longer seeing severe hail moving into the Monroeville area, which is good news.
But nonetheless, be on alert for quarter size hail. Again, these updrafts have been known to strengthen before weakening again. So it is kind of a trend that we have had today. And really this morning as well. Just kind of popcorn updrafts where they pop up, they strengthen, get those quarters, and then they quickly weaken as well. They're really short lived in nature and kind of sporadic, but that's pretty common with these types of setups here as well.
I will also point out we have isolated outages coming in, likely from lightning striking power grids and stuff like that. Across the state, 12,000 people out of power, and some of those are, in fact, all of those really in northern Indiana. Miami County, we have Whitley County, DeKalb County, even Wells, Adams, and Huntington have a few people out of power, as well as Madison County. So we do have outages from these storms that are occurring in very sporadic nature.
Yeah.
A new warning for our friends over in Ohio, a very large warning there. It's going to be for Wapakoneta area for large hail for a storm currently over Minster. But that is not our concern. That is our Buckeye friends across the border. Their concern. But saw that pop in there. Let's go ahead and check our VIL now on these other storms. We want to track these. And again, we're looking for these brighter orange, red, purple, or white colors on this map here. That's indicative of your larger hail cores. And the only two we're seeing right now are still in Adams County. This is delayed here. This hail core is up by Monroeville now. This one's probably in Ohio. This is a state line right here. So next update on here on radar, we should be looking at a much better picture of the hail here. I think we're about done, I'm going to say, as of right now, with anything larger in the state.
Yeah, again, that hail tracker there is a little bit behind compared to where our velocity is. Sometimes it's a little bit slower to load. That scan comes in a little bit later. But a lot of questions on the loud thunder here. I kind of put this in here to show you what is going on in our atmosphere. Again, this was a diagram we made back in February. If you don't remember, we had freezing rain, thunderstorms a couple months ago. Same principle applies today, where we have a temperature inversion, where we have warm air aloft, that instability and thunderstorm fuel is a couple thousand feet above our heads, with colder temperatures below. Though we don't have snow on the ground here this morning, like you see in this picture. We did in February, but we don't today. We do have colder temperatures. Temperatures are in the upper 30s here across northern Indiana, but you go up a few thousand feet, they're several degrees warmer than that. So again, a lot of times the thunder is amplified in these situations where sound waves get trapped within this colder air. Cold air actually amplifies sound. And when you have warm air sitting atop cold air, it acts as a lid. Think of it being in an open gym and you talk, you have that echo where your sound waves are bouncing all over the place. Same principle applies here, just on a much larger scale. And that's why our thunder may appear louder, or a lot of you guys may have been woken up by some window rattlers, as we call them here this morning. So that's kind of a little bit of the science behind why our thunder is louder here this morning. And a lot of that has to do with temperature profiles. So there's a little behind the scenes look here at our environment this morning. But again, the entire atmosphere is actually going to warm up here. That inversion is actually going to get booted to our north and east as we go throughout the afternoon.
I will also point out the fact we just dropped our warning for Allen County. So they went ahead and let that expire. I will also switch over the hail core tracker on this radar as it does update more frequently. As you can see, there's not really much of anything here in Indiana anymore. Perhaps some pea size, maybe some dime size hail Monroeville, Yoder, Uniondale. Like we see these blues on your screen, these general areas. But if we zoom out here, for example, go down to the warning, that's where we start seeing our yellows and oranges down here. That's your bigger size hail, which is why we have that warning here for parts of Ohio near Wapakoneta. But over here in Indiana, we're just kind of seeing some sporadic, scattered, perhaps small to medium sized hailstones instead of large hailstones now. So we should be, at least at this point, as of 9:06 a.m., there is no severe sized hail in the state of Indiana, but still some small sized hail, definitely possible with these storms.
Yep.
This particular cell, Caleb, is heading toward my house up here in Northwest Ohio.
Yep, near the Archwold area could have some small hail in there right now. No warning on it. It does have a special weather statement on it though. For nickel size hail, 0.88 diameter is what nickels are. So again, pretty close. Wouldn't be surprised to see that strengthen into a warning. Ryan will have to watch that pretty closely as it enters Lenawee County and southeast.
Ryan is going to move his car into the garage, so I will do the exact same thing you did. I'll be back.
Not a bad idea. So as Ryan pops off here, we'll stay on here. We'll keep an eye here on the radar here. And while we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings in the state, maybe some small hail in Wells County, again, pea-size hail perhaps right in here. But again, nothing too significant there. While we do that, let's go ahead and briefly talk about our environment later today. I know that's the question on everyone's mind here. How is this thunderstorm convection going to play a role in what environment we have later today? So with that being said, let me switch some screens around here behind the scenes, and we'll talk about that here briefly before jumping back to our radar. Let me just move some stuff around here behind the scenes. So here we go. Here's a look at the model runs here. Let's go ahead and look. This is the 12Z, so this is hot off the press here on the HRRR. This is a numerical water model here. And you can see our colder temperatures here across northern Indiana. A lot of times we're in the upper 30s. Most of us are. With our warm front draped across southern Indiana right now, central Illinois, this warm air is going to push our temperature inversion out of the way and warm up the entire column of the air all the way from the surface all the way up to the troposphere above our heads later today. As we go back to precipitation here, let's go ahead and do reflectivity. We'll go ahead and time it out here for you. I'm actually going to go back one model run as that is still loading here. But again, here we are this morning. Pretty accurate depiction. Again, we have those scattered showers and thunderstorms just pop up, heavier cores there that brought us those peas, dimes, nickels, and even a few quarters across northern Indiana here this morning. So here we are. Here we are this afternoon. A few isolated showers and thunderstorms here. This is the 3 o'clock hour here this afternoon. And again, the main risk really comes anywhere between really 3 o'clock this afternoon and then storms really get going. Here's the 7 o'clock hour here. Again, a few isolated storms here possible. Again, these would be supercells if they would be able to maintain themselves. So all hazards possible associated with these with a potent, what we call a QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. This is a fancy term for a line of convection, similar to what we've seen over the last few systems across Indiana. They bring damaging winds, a risk for spin-up tornadoes, and some small hail. And some hail could be large within them as well if you get those isolated updrafts or cores within that line. So again, all hazards possible today. A really potent line here as it matures here across Indiana. This is the 9 o'clock time frame, so this will go after dark tonight across Indiana. And here we are, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. And as you notice here, it kind of stalls out. It slows down. It doesn't move very fast here once we get after the 7 o'clock hour, especially south of the US 24 corridor. So the risk for flash flooding really arises here across central and southern Indiana. Excessive ponding, flash flooding, so we could have some hydrologic issues later tonight, and especially this week as a whole across especially the southern half of Indiana. Again, we're going to have a boundary that stalls out here that's going to bring renewed chances for showers and thunderstorms across the entire southern half of the state pretty much through Saturday. So some areas could get a half a foot of rain, especially south of Indianapolis. So that is going to cause significant issues for southern Indiana. Some significant river flooding is possible and has been noted by the National Weather Service in Indianapolis in their area forecast discussion. So they are watching that very, very closely. Again, flood watches are in effect for the entire southern half of the state. Here we are at midnight tonight. So again, a few showers and thunderstorms. And again, this line and timing may vary by an hour or so. It really depends on when storms get going, how they evolve, and how quickly they move and get out of here. Um, our last system on Sunday actually was ahead of schedule compared to what our guidance models was showing by a couple hours. Will this be the same way? Only time will tell on how the atmosphere evolves and how things evolve here later today. But here's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., a few lingering showers along the immediate cold front possible. But again, these will not be severe in nature as our main event has gobbled up all of the juice and energy associated with it. Let's go ahead and pull up the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook here for today. Again, they have just updated it here this morning. We'll go ahead and hone in on Indiana here. Again, an enhanced risk, 3 out of 5 in orange, encompasses the entire state and the majority of the region here, the surrounding region around Indiana, northern Illinois, southern Michigan, western Ohio, and we have a moderate risk in red here across southern Indiana. They have moved this further north, approaching the Indy metro area, getting pretty close to you guys. But look what they added last night that we didn't have. This is a 5 out of 5 high risk just south of our Indiana border here, something to watch very, very closely here. Again, this is rare. You don't see a high risk very often at all issued by the Storm Prediction Center. This is our second one of the year. We'll see how that plays out. And this is largely a tornado-driven high risk. Again, high risk for tornadoes in pink down here. And they have expanded the yellow tornado risk across to include northern Indiana now, stretching from about the Fort Wayne area, just south of Rensselaer, across northern Indiana. This hatched area here in yellow, anywhere in the hatch where you see those black pines, that is an area highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center where the atmosphere could potentially become favorable to allow stronger tornadoes to form. Think EF2 plus in magnitude. The atmosphere is capable of that today with higher probabilities of a strong or an intense tornado. Once you get into the red area and pink areas, you could have an intense tornado possible, intense meaning EF3 plus. But again, that's highly dependent on how the atmosphere evolves today and how our wind parameters, instability, and all of our slim factors come together to become conducive for severe weather. So again, more conditional on the higher end tornadoes, but again, low end tornadoes, EF0 to EF2s, pretty good chance we'll see some tornadoes today if everything aligns here, as highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center. Damaging winds, though, greatest risk here today. The entire state is at a moderate risk. Read there, 30 to 44% chance of seeing winds in excess of 75 miles an hour within any 25-mile point. So again, pick a point. For example, Indianapolis, there's a 30 to 44% that somewhere within 25 miles of Indianapolis will see a significant wind gust of 75 miles an hour or greater. So that is what that hatched area means. 25 miles within any point, and the same goes for tornadoes as well. 25 miles within any point, you could have a decent shot at seeing a tornado. So again, that is a brief synopsis of today, and we'll have more updates posted on our page as well. We'll have an updated forecast package coming out later this morning. Brian says, quarter-size hail in Butler about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, not surprised. Again, a few sporadic hail cores associated in these storms here this morning. We'll be on here a few more minutes here just to make sure none of these storms lingering behind getting attitude or anything like that. They are sub-severe right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see this one go warned for Van Wert County, getting a decent signature there for hail, maybe marginally severe, nickel-size hail, maybe a few quarters mixing in there. But again, that is Ohio, and we are Indiana. So we're going to stay back over here in Indiana. If you see these brown boxes here on radar here, this is actually a wind advisory that's in effect today for all of central Indiana, parts of northwest Indiana, and all of southern Indiana today. Again, sustained winds 20 to 30 miles an hour out of the south here this morning, south-southwest, or perhaps even southeast, with gusts up to 50 miles an hour. Again, this is not associated with thunderstorm activity. These are just general winds. Parts of the reports are saying it's gusty right now. These winds will pick up. This will help warm our temperatures today, so we could have some gusty winds here this afternoon ahead of the main severe weather that could bring additional severe winds associated with those thunderstorms. So again, a lot of things to look at here today.
Something else I do want to draw your attention to, though, is from the Weather Prediction Center, WPC. I'll go ahead and actually pull up something else here. Give me 1 second here to get it pulled up here. WPC forecast. We have what's called an excessive rainfall outlook, which is an area highlighted by the Weather Prediction Center, not to be confused with the Storm Prediction Center. The Storm Prediction Center, let me log in here. Ads are annoying. There we go. Storm Prediction Center issues outlooks for severe weather. Think hail, tornadoes, and damaging winds. Whereas the Weather Prediction Center, or WPC, issues hydrologic outlooks, meaning rainfall hazards, precipitation hazards, heavy rain, heavy snow, so on and so forth. As we go into the Ohio Valley here, southern Indiana is in a moderate risk today for flash flooding and excessive ponding, with the majority of Indiana in a 2 out of 4, a slight risk for ponding, with highest confidence generally along and south of the US 224 corridor here in south is where we think we have the highest probability of those storms slowing down, possibly training, heavy rains, flash flooding, excessive runoff. So again, later tonight in the overnight hours, watch for ponding on roadways. And if you do live in low-lying areas that are prone for ponding, flooding near a river perhaps, monitor those water levels as well. Again, some moderate to significant flooding is possible in Indiana, especially across southern Indiana. But we don't just have a risk for flooding today. We have one tomorrow, a moderate risk and even a high risk for flash flooding. Again, very rare to see that. We don't see these very often. Just to our south of the Ohio River here, where soils are already saturated from today's event, will be saturated tomorrow with the risk for severe weather, heavy rain, and excessive runoff as well, with flight risk from Indianapolis, think Winchester, Indiana, and points southward. Again, 2 out of 5 there. But wait, there's more. We have one on for Friday as well, a moderate risk for extreme southwest lower Indiana, with the majority of Indiana reintroduced to a slight risk again for ponding. So again, we have those flood watches up. I'll go ahead and I'll show you those here. Flood watches are in green here. Every green thing you see in here, stretching from Toledo, Indianapolis, St. Louis, these are all our flood watches where we think the highest probability of river flooding is. And we could see a few additional flood watches issued. Think like the Grant County, Wells County, Adam, and some areas in here. But again, that really depends on confidence on where these storms slow down at. So for now, the National Weather Service in northern Indiana is holding off on that, but they have mentioned they are watching trends here pretty closely just to see where those storms slow down and if there is a flood risk that would arise from them. So again, a multi-hazard day here and week here as we go throughout the week, from strong winds that are non-severe related, damaging winds, all hazards possible today, and as well as a severe weather risk through Friday in the state of Indiana. Wouldn't be surprised Saturday either if we see something across southern Indiana. Currently, no warnings in the state of Indiana. All severe thunderstorm warnings have been allowed to expire. Again, probably some pea-sized hail. North side of Decatur again, coming into southwest lower Allen County, maybe some pea-sized hail. Same thing in Geneva and Bern, probably getting some pea-sized hail again. But again, once we get through this back end of showers here and thunderstorms, the hail risk will go down here for this morning and we'll dry out before we get reintroduced to thunderstorm activity later this afternoon. But we'll have a period where we have a bit of a lull. Winds will pick up out of the south, warming us up, and many of us will be in the upper 70s today. A little bit colder across northeast Indiana, where we have more rain and cloud cover, perhaps 60s to low 70s, especially north and northeast of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And again, points southward. We'll warm up into the mid 70s and even a few 80 degrees. Can't be ruled out, especially Indianapolis and points southward. Could reach 80 today. So something to have to keep an eye on.
Caleb, I'm going to pop out here and start Michigan ops. We're going to be watching storms up here. Make sure nothing's going to go severe. So
no problem.
Out of here. I will catch
we'll
you guys
hang
later.
On. Yep, we'll probably hang on a little bit longer here to make sure nothing else goes severe here, and then we'll hop off. So thanks, Ryan, for your help here this morning. Again, new severe thunderstorm warning for Van Wert County. I know that's kind of cliche in terms of Van Wert. It seems like they always get the good stuff over there. This one here is warned for quarters and 50s, so that really seems to be the going rate here today with some of the stronger cores. Again, widespread severe weather, not really a concern with this morning. Showers and convection, but sporadic updrafts that sporadically produce hail and briefly reaching severe criteria is what we've seen here this morning. Again, that was more conditional depending on what our instability profiles were in the atmosphere, but we have just enough to feed these thunderstorms to be able to produce hail up to quarter size this morning. Can you show that line moving through again? Yeah, we can look at models here real quick again. Again, no severe thunderstorm warnings in Indiana at this time. That will change later today, though, when our main event comes in. This is kind of the appetizer ahead of the main course that'll be coming in later today. Go ahead and get that pulled back up here for you. Again, let me drag this over here. Let me reload this here. Maybe. There we go. So yeah, we'll go ahead and show this here. Here's our showers and thunderstorms that are moving out of Indiana right now. This is at 10 o'clock here this morning, so in about 40 minutes from now. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these further out too. Again, this is all projections. This is a forecast model. It's an algorithm's interpretation of data input. So that's what a forecast model is. As we move throughout the morning here, again, our warm front will lift norths. We're going to quickly warm up into the 60s and 70s here by mid-morning and early afternoon. And by late afternoon, the majority of the state will be in the 70s, maybe a few 80s here across central and southern Indiana. Again, cooler temperatures across northern Indiana because of these showers and cloud cover that we have present here. Again, greatest uncertainty for severe weather is across far northern Indiana along the I-90 corridor. How much are they going to be able to stabilize this afternoon ahead of the severe weather? Here we are at 12 p.m. This is lunchtime today. Again, showers and thunderstorms ongoing around Chicagoland, central Illinois, but this is not the main show. The main show will redevelop here by early mid-afternoon. We're going to have to watch these isolated thunderstorms here around 3 o'clock. Some of these could be strong to severe. We're going to have to keep an eye on those. But around 3 o'clock, our line's starting to get going here. Here we are at 4 p.m. And these are the storms to watch here. This is something to watch here. As you look at these cells in nature that forecast models have been trying to pinpoint and put on here, notice how they have appendages or apexes on them. Notice how they kind of have a little bit of a hook appearance to them. These are supercell thunderstorms that this forecast model has been trying to initiate across central Indiana, southern Indiana, and perhaps lower northeast Indiana and western Ohio. These supercells, if they are able to become established and tap into the environment that we have here today, could in turn be conducive for all hazards, meaning large hail, tornadoes, and damaging winds associated with them. So early afternoon, mid-afternoon, these are going to have to be watched very closely on if we do in fact see these. Another scenario is we don't see those at all. We don't see any storms fire this afternoon, and we just get a line of storms that move through. So there are a couple different scenarios here, and that all has to do with how this afternoon evolves. The longer we cook and destabilize, the higher the severe risk goes up in turn. So the more ingredients we'll have to work with. So how long is our bread going to bake in the oven? Are we going to get the full loaf, or are we going to be left with dough? That's kind of how we're looking at the environment today. Are we going to get the full thing, or are we going to get it marginalized just a little bit? Meaning, are we going to get these supercells or not? Nonetheless, today, even if we don't fully destabilize, severe weather is quite high today in the state of Indiana, even if the tornado risk goes down a little bit. However, latest guidance has actually been increasing the tornado threat across Indiana today. And I want to stress that to take today seriously because of the increased tornado risk and damaging wind risk across Indiana today. We do have the possibility for intense tornadoes, meaning EF2 plus tornadoes today are not out of the question if we can fully maximize our potential, depending on how we destabilize today. So again, EF2 plus tornadoes, strong tornadoes, cannot be ruled out, as we do have an atmosphere capable of producing those, especially if we see isolated supercells here later today. And our wind parameters, our shear parameters would support that if we are able to destabilize today. So this is 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And again, timing may vary a little bit, even as much as an hour, depending on how we evolve today. So keep that in mind. This will give you a rough idea, though. Here we are, 5 p.m., still showing a few isolated storms. Our line really getting going here at 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Again, our line of storms now really starting to become mature by this time frame. But look how we have individual little kinks within this line here. We could have embedded supercells within this QLCS or within this line of storms as it moves into Indiana. So again, it could be a very dangerous evening, and I don't say that lightly. Again, prepare for all hazards. Some significant severe weather is possible across Indiana today, especially if we maximize on destabilization here this afternoon. Again, this is what we call a high ceiling event, meaning it has potential to go very big, but it could also be lower just a little bit as well, depending on how we evolve today in terms of instability. I do want to stress that too. There are a couple fail modes in play today. Fail modes meaning it wouldn't completely wipe out our risk for severe weather, but it could lower the tornado risk just a little bit, depending on how it evolves today. But again, that's not how guidance has been trending this morning. And I want to stress that it actually has been allowing us to see that destabilization occur, allowing for all hazards, including the risk for strong tornadoes. That's what's on the table here this morning. So I do want to stress that for you to be prepared for all hazards, especially from 2 p.m. through about 3 a.m. 2 p.m. tonight, or this afternoon rather, through about 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. Here we are at 7 o'clock tonight. Again, evening time frame, supper time frame. Again, a very powerful line of storms are expected to be across northern Indiana and moving into central Indiana by around this time frame. Could have some embedded supercells within this line here. Again, our wind parameters are very strong. We have a lot of vorticity, a lot of spin in the atmosphere today, and a lot of wind shear overall. Our wind shear is actually off the charts with this system, as it has been with the last few systems. We just have more instability to work with today, or at least that's how it's trending, than we have on the last couple systems. So again, something to watch here as we go throughout the afternoon. And we'll continue to post updates and revisions as we go in the afternoon as well, as this data evolves and as we are able to see how the atmosphere is recovering. We'll know by early afternoon what kind of a day we're going to see. Probably around the noontime to 2 p.m. time frame, we'll get a better idea for how well we are going to destabilize. But here we are at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Again, the greatest risk for damaging winds is going to be across around this time frame. After 6 p.m., we have a really potent QLCS being depicted here by the 12Z HRRR. Again, this is the newest model run too. I'm seeing this for the first time as you are. But again, it's very similar to what we've been seeing this morning. 06C that came out earlier this morning is showing a very similar situation. So again, it hasn't really moved or deviated too far from what has been the trend here this morning. So it is holding true. But again, a very powerful line of storms, could have some isolated supercells embedded within this line here, anywhere in Indiana, with another potent line possibly going to impact southern Indiana as well, similar to what we saw on Sunday, where we kind of have a first line move through and a secondary line further south. Not really overlapping, not really going to have two back-to-back, so to speak, just kind of one moving through and then a delayed between the second one moving through, perhaps, across far southern Indiana. Something to watch, though, is this isn't overly fast. This is 7 p.m., this is 9 p.m. Notice how it only moved perhaps maybe a couple counties. So we are watching for the potential for this boundary to stall out or at least slow down across central and northeast Indiana and points southward. This will bring a flash flood risk into the state here today, into tonight. Again, our shear parameters, our overlapping parameters also support this, that we could have some training showers and thunderstorms, meaning they move over the same areas again and again. This could really increase the flooding risk, and I can't stress that enough, especially across southern Indiana, where our soils are already saturated. Again, some places in southern Indiana could see a half a foot of rain by Saturday. Yes, 6 inches plus for southern Indiana by the weekend. So again, not at one time, but throughout the next 5 days, again, 3 to 5 plus inches for southern Indiana can't be ruled out. So again, if you do live in low-lying areas, again, monitor your river forecasts. Monitor your local EMA for updates in terms of the flooding event. Outside of severe weather, flooding is probably my next highest concern for southern Indiana. But back to the model guidance here. Here is 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time tonight depicted here. Again, could have a few isolated supercells out ahead of the main line here, something we're going to have to watch. But again, you can kind of see how it shows a little bit of a few kinks within this line too. So we could have some spin-up areas of rotation along the leading edge of this. But outside of tornadoes, this whole line here has the risk for significant wind gusts, potentially greater than 75 miles an hour. Cannot be ruled out. Even a few reports of 80 miles an hour in its form of straight line winds can be ruled out anywhere in the state of Indiana, especially as this line matures, as it moves across the state here tonight. Here is 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Again, a very potent line here, moving across central Indiana. Again, this may vary. Radar reflectivity by the time we get into this event may vary by timing and location just a little bit, but this gives you a pretty good interpretation of what the atmosphere is capable of today. So we could have some supercells earlier in the day capable of all hazards, followed by a really potent squall line, or what we call a QLCS here, by this evening into the overnight hours. Here's 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Again, a very, very potent line of storms here, with all hazards possible. Damaging winds, 75 plus possible within that line, with reports to 80 miles an hour, not out of the question at all, followed by spin up tornadoes and hail. Here's 11 o'clock, and here's midnight tonight. So this model run compared to the last one did speed it up just a little bit. So there is a little bit of play. It may slow down or speed up depending on how the atmosphere evolves here today. And we could have some back end rain on the backside. But once our main squall line moves through and exits the state, our severe weather would then end for the night across Indiana. We could have a few lingering showers here along the immediate cold front, maybe some gusty winds, but I don't think severe weather is highly probable with those. Again, a lot of our energy have been gobbled up by our main event here. So that is a look at the forecast and the latest outlook that we have here. And we'll have a full forecast package coming here later this morning. And it'll probably be similar to what you just heard as well. So again, all hazards possible today. Greatest timing, probably the 2 p.m. through 3 a.m. time frame today into tomorrow morning is what we're looking at for Indiana. And again, we'll have a full forecast package posted here later today. Back look at the radar here. Again, a few stronger cells here across right across our border here, Van Wert, Mercer counties, Ohio. One severe thunderstorm warning still hanging on here. But again, these storms are sub-severe at this point in time, not like what we saw here this morning. So we'll hang on here for a few more minutes. If you guys have any questions, whether about the storms ongoing now or the severe weather later today, go ahead and put those in the chat here. While I'm here, I'll be happy to answer them for you if I can before we hop off here. And I got to do some work here on the back end ahead of our severe weather event today. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in chat. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And we will have chasers out in the field here today, monitoring our risk in the field in real time today as well, as these storms get undergoing. So again, I don't see any questions in here. Again, these storms have weakened quite a bit. We're still going to wait here as these could re-intensify. We'll hit play here. You can see these sporadic hail cores as they kind of evolve and pop up rather quickly here. So we'll wait for this tail end to move out of Wells and Adams County and Allen County and into Ohio before we fully pop off here. But again, sub-severe at this point in time, but we have had severe reports across all of Indiana, northern Indiana, areas north of Indianapolis for hail here early this morning and overnight last night, anywhere from Ps to quarters and perhaps a few instances of maybe up to $50 across far northeast Huntington, southwest Allen County. A few pictures flirting around on social media, perhaps a few larger hailstones, larger than quarter size. Clouds will kind of, yeah, good question, Evan. Clouds will hang around for a good majority of the day. We're going to be partly to mostly cloudy today, but that is actually not, we have a cheat code today. That is not going to fully inhibit our severe weather today, as it would on a lot of other days. We have something called warm air advection, but we also have a lot of transportation going on in the atmosphere, meaning we have, with our wind parameters aloft, it's going to move in a lot of instability despite having clouds. So we have really strong winds aloft, which is going to bring that warm, moist, unstable air from the Gulf of Mexico up north into our area. That's going to help destabilize us despite having some clouds around. And with that being said, that is why the Storm Prediction Center has maintained and also expanded our severe weather risk today across Indiana slightly, because of the destabilization factors that we have here today outside of daytime heating. If we get daytime heating and more breaks in the cloud, that'll further destabilize the situation and make it even more dire. But despite having a few clouds around, the environment that we have today is favorable for rapid destabilization because of our winds that we have aloft, transporting that instability northward into our region ahead of our severe weather event today. So, for that reason, that is why the Storm Prediction Center has left an enhanced risk and even expanded the moderate risk into Indiana a little bit further north, as well as the tornado risk has also been expanded northward as well as a result of that rapid destabilization that is expected to occur today. But again, the more daytime heating we have with the sun today will do nothing short but amplify the issue that we have here with destabilization today. It'll enhance that if we do have any breaks in the clouds. So good question there. But unfortunately today, even with our clouds, that's not going to fully damper the severe weather risk today, just because we have so many other drivers at play today in the large scale that could actually overcome that. Almost think of it like a cheat code that we have here today. But good question. But again, no severe weather in effect in Indiana at this point in time. After these showers move out, we're going to quickly warm up. And in fact, let me show you how much and how fast we're going to warm up here today. And go back to the model here. We'll go back to surface temperatures here. Go way back here. So here we are now. Here's 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. So again, quickly warming up here across southern Indiana, central Indiana by this time frame. We're still in the 30s and 40s across northern Indiana. This is how fast we're going to warm up here. Here we are at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. Again, Indianapolis in the 70s, southern Indiana approaching 80 degrees by early afternoon. Northern Indiana and Goli, well, we're still in the 40s up here. We have some lingering rain showers along the I-90 corridor that's going to keep us cool and keep us a little bit more conditional up here in terms of severe weather. A lot of it will be determined by how our destabilization evolves the atmosphere up here. How long are we able and how quickly can we destabilize up here? But again, really strong winds transporting that instability northward could allow for rapid destabilization even across far northern Indiana and southwest lower Michigan as well. So something to keep an eye on later tonight. And here we are by 2 p.m. 3 p.m. Look, low 80s creeping their way into southern Indiana and even getting pretty close to the Indy Metro here. Again, 79 degrees here. This is 3 o'clock. Areas south of Fort Wayne are in the 70s here by this point in time. Here we are at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and 6 p.m. Again, 70s for the majority of Indiana with 80 degrees, even mid 80s possible along and near the Ohio River. It's going to get quite humid and even hot this afternoon across southern Indiana. I know it's kind of hard to say the H word, the hot word right now when you're only in the, mid 60s right now, but we could warm up over 30 degrees today across southern and central Indiana into the 80s. So again, it could get pretty balmy down there across southern Indiana and just how fast they warm up as well. So again, 70s for the majority of the state with the exception of far northeast Indiana by mid-afternoon here. So that's kind of our look at temperatures and how they evolve here today. But just kind of the pattern in the environment that we have here today. We've really been stuck in a really active pattern here. Abnormally active, to say the least. A lot of times we get these bigger systems in springtime, March, April, where you have a lot of rain, a lot of wind, but you don't always have severe weather with every single one of them like we've had here over the past 2 weeks. We've had a severe weather risk with most of our larger systems here over the past couple of weeks. Largely because we're able to get instability added into that equation for those systems. A lot of times you have wind shear and moisture, but you don't have the instability to support severe weather to tap into those other ingredients that are there. In most cases, it's hard to get that this time of year. But unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, we have had that instability component associated with these systems, and this one is no different. And for the majority of this week across especially southern half of Indiana, again, a severe weather risk is in place for you through Friday and maybe even Saturday as well. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So again, a very active pattern that we've had here across the entire Midwest and Great Lakes regions. We've been one of the more active places in the nation as a whole across the eastern half of the United States, including the lower Great Lakes and Ohio Valley regions. And in fact, we are now up to 19 tornadoes for the year in Indiana. Thanks to the last 3 systems here, we've had a few more confirmed over the last couple of days from Sunday's event. Most of them on the weaker side, EF0 to EF1. But nonetheless, we are now up to 19 for the state of Indiana. And Michigan has at least 8, and Ohio has at least 4. So again, the entire region has seen tornadoes now. I'm not sure about Illinois, but I know Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan are now all on the board for 2025 for tornadoes. So pretty crazy. Indiana's leading the way out of the Great Lakes with 19. Hopefully that number does not increase this afternoon. I really hope it doesn't. But again, all hazards are possible today, including the potential for strong tornadoes. EF2 plus cannot be ruled out if we are able to get everything coming together in the right way and in the right time. So we can't rule anything out today, unfortunately. Again, just finished watching these storms here, mainly these around Allen County and Wells County area. Once these moves out, we'll probably go ahead and hop out of here. Kokomo is good for this morning. This afternoon, be on alert for all hazards, damaging winds with the potential for greater than 75 miles an hour, large hail, potentially 2 inches or greater, as well as tornadoes. Kokomo and most of northern Indiana or central and northern Indiana is an enhanced risk for tornadoes as well, with a hatched area, meaning the probability is there for an EF2 plus tornado. So again, all hazards on that table today, no matter really where you live in Indiana. The threat is there, with the highest threat generally south of the US 30 corridor. US 30 to US 24. Think of it like that little U there. Areas south have the highest confidence, and then a little bit less to the north, but nonetheless, a significant risk is there if we're able to destabilize that far north. A little bit more uncertainty between Angola and South Bend, from Steuben County all the way to the South Bend area. A little bit more uncertainty up there. And a lot of that has to do with how far our warm nose is able to go with our lingering rain showers that we have up there. Rain acts as a stabilizing agent, and that's why we're conditionally uncertain a little bit for areas north of the I-90 corridor. But again, rapid destabilization is expected today, thanks to our strong mid-level winds in the atmosphere transporting that instability northward very, very quickly. So we call that rapid destabilization, where we can destabilize and recharge the atmosphere in only a couple of hours. That's really what we're talking about today. Think of it like a jump start on your car. You have a dead battery, but you put a jump start on it, you can start it right away. Kind of like an atmospheric jump start is what we have here today. Severe weather watches, it really depends on the confidence of the Storm Prediction Center. A lot of times they'll issue those ahead of time, maybe an hour or 30 minutes before storms start to fire. We'll see those watches. I would expect some tornado watches to be issued today across Indiana by early afternoon. Wouldn't be surprised. I think the largest severe weather risk today, anywhere between the 2 p.m. and 3 a.m. time frame across Indiana. But again, wouldn't be surprised to see some tornado watches issued across Indiana today. Could have some severe thunderstorm watches further north, but I think a lot of us will be in a tornado watch of some sort by early mid-afternoon time frame. Just because we do have some pretty high tornado parameters in place today. Whether it's isolated supercells or spin-up tornadoes along the squall line, either way, the parameters are there for tornadoes, whether they're long-tracked or spin up along a QLCS. So, again, a multi-hazard day today. Unfortunately, we can't rule anything out today. It's just one of those days where, unfortunately, anything is possible today. With the primary risk, with that said, being damaging winds. High probabilities of seeing damaging winds in excess of 75 miles an hour within 25 miles of any point. Again, we have a hatched area for the entire state for that reason. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few reports of 80 plus miles an hour, maybe even 90, in some of the more intense squall line segments that we have here tonight. Again, a very potent QLCS is expected to develop across Indiana. So again, a very powerful storm is expected here today. I don't say that lightly. Could have some pea-sized hail coming into the Decatur area here along this line right in here. You can see our hail tracker is lagging behind just a little bit. We could have some pea-sized hail, especially. I'll pause this here so it doesn't keep playing. There we go. Just north of 124, south of Preble, could have maybe some peas in there, or without peas, very fat raindrops briefly in there as the storm exits Indiana. Once this segment here exits Indiana, we'll go ahead and hop off here as we have a lot of things to do here today ahead of today's severe weather event. But thanks for hanging on here and staying with us here today. Those of you watching got a sneak peek of our initial thinking for our severe weather event today, with our severe weather outlook being issued here later this morning. Just watching these cells right in here to make sure none of them become strong to severe with hail before we fully hop off. Any storms in southern Indiana? Not this morning, but this afternoon, yes. Significant severe weather is expected across Indiana today, and especially southern Indiana. Again, all hazards. Tornadoes, some of those could be strong to significant. Large hail, up to 2 inches in diameter, damaging winds potentially greater than 75 miles an hour, all on the table today. Again, the entire state has a risk for severe weather today. Anywhere between the 2 p.m. time frame and 3 a.m. tomorrow morning is the window for severe weather. Just give it a couple more minutes here before we hop off, but we'll probably hop off here in the next 5 to 10 minutes here as these storms exit Indiana, just to make sure none of them become severe. But the good news is, looking at the long term outlook, though, across the region, there is a pattern change coming, especially next week into mid April, where we see kind of a colder pattern move back in. And that in turn is trending to put a hold on the severe weather temporarily. As we all know, in Indiana, severe weather can really happen anytime in the springtime here in Indiana. So we'll likely see additional renewed chances for severe weather as we move further into spring. But we could see a temporary break here mid-month here as we see kind of a colder pattern move in. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that and see how it trends. But fingers crossed we'll get a break here as we move into the middle part of the month. Once we get through this week, we might have a break coming our way. So fingers crossed. Give it maybe another minute or two here just to make sure none of these updrafts get an attitude here before we hop off. Again, these storms are moving out of Indiana and into Ohio now, with the strongest storms in Ohio, just to the southwest of Bowling Green, Findlay, Ohio, with that one severe thunderstorm warning. So in effect for far eastern Van Wert County, and then have some special weather statements around the Bell Fountain area as well. But again, our severe weather threat has ended temporarily for Indiana, and I stress temporarily because we will see renewed severe weather. The main show is yet to come here today. All hazards possible this afternoon into the overnight hours. Some significant severe weather is possibly on the table today as well. Can't rule anything out today, including the risk for strong tornadoes, EF2 plus. We have an environment that is potentially favorable to support that. So again, a very volatile environment today. So with that being said here, this is moving into Ohio. Have pretty high confidence, a pretty good confidence, I should say, that we are not going to see another severe thunderstorm warning this morning. We will hear this afternoon. I have high confidence in that. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and pop out of here. We will have our severe weather outlook posted here later this morning here, to include the event here and timing of its entirety here later this morning for this afternoon into tonight. So stay tuned for updates. Stay weather aware. Again, all hazards are possible today. Large hail, strong tornadoes are possible, as well as significant damaging wind gusts, perhaps greater than 75, approaching 80 plus miles an hour, are possible. So with that being said, if you guys missed anything, we did briefly go over the severe weather threat a few different times here within the stream. Feel free to go back and watch it. We were initially live on here covering a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in Northeast Indiana earlier today. The threat has since left Indiana and is now moving into Northwest Ohio. So with that being said, we'll pop out of here. We'll probably be live again today to cover the severe weather event later today. But for now, we're going to pop out of here, and we will see you later.